Step away from the house. Malcolm Reed stopped with a cardboard box against his chest. The woman at the edge of his driveway had not asked his name. She had looked from his faded work shirt to the moving truck, then to Lena, who sat on the porch arranging colored chalk beside a small star projector. Now she raised her phone. Occupancy has not been verified. Malcolm lowered the box. This is my property. Her thumb moved across the screen. No surprise, no apology. Only a slight adjustment in posture, as if his answer had become another item requiring documentation. Ownership verification is handled through the association. She selected a label on the resident portal. Unauthorized occupancy. Do not enter the house again. The command came after the report had already been submitted. Across the street, a curtain settled back into place. Lena stopped lining up the chalk. Malcolm had spent more than 2 decades watching small decisions become official facts. A phrase chosen on a form, a box checked before anyone asked the next question, a description copied into later reports until nobody remembered where it began. What's your name? He asked. Elaine Whitaker, president of the Stonebridge Community Association. Behind Malcolm, his key remained in the open front door. Unpacked boxes filled the living room. The closing folder rested on the kitchen counter beside Lena's school records. None of it existed in Elaine's report. A patrol car entered the street minutes later. Officer Noah Bell checked the address before approaching. His hand stayed away from his belt, but his eyes moved first to Malcolm, then the doorway, then Lena. Elaine crossed her arms. I reported a possible unlawful entry. Noah asked Malcolm for identification. Then the deed. Then the closing email. Then he looked toward Lena. What's your name? Lena Reed. And this man? She pulled her stuffed fox against her ribs. My dad. Noah compared the documents. Everything matched. He returned Malcolm's license and said the call would be closed with no violation found. Elaine watched him enter the result on his tablet. Malcolm watched too. At the top of the screen, the address showed 1 safety report and 1 police response. The finding appeared farther down beneath another tab. No violation found. The number remained visible. The correction did not. Elaine saw it. Her expression barely changed, but Malcolm recognized the moment she understood the advantage. She did not need the report to be true. She only needed there to be another one. Noah offered a restrained apology and returned to his car. Elaine stepped back onto her lawn. Stonebridge has standards, she said. You'll receive the rules. Lena waited until Elaine's door closed. Are we allowed to live here? Malcolm stopped halfway up the steps. The house is ours. She searched his face, measuring the answer against the patrol car disappearing at the end of the street. He brought out the closing folder and placed it in her hands. Her name appeared beneath his, printed in plain black letters. He did not explain why that had not been enough. 2 days later, Elaine reported Malcolm's parked vehicle as suspicious. Noah checked the plate and closed the call. The following afternoon, music played from Lena's room while she unpacked. Elaine submitted a disturbance complaint. Lena turned the speaker off before the patrol car arrived and did not switch it on again. When Tessa Reed used Malcolm's smart lock code to watch Lena during a city meeting, Elaine reported an unknown woman alone with a child. The access log showed Tessa's name, entry time, and Malcolm's authorization. The officers still asked for identification. By the 4th report, Noah no longer looked surprised to see Malcolm. He looked uncomfortable. Each call ended the same way. No violation, no offense, no cause for action. Yet the address counter kept rising. That night, Malcolm opened the Stonebridge portal beside the public safety incident dashboard he was reviewing for his new position. The same phrase appeared in 3 records. Unauthorized occupancy. It had survived the deed, the closing documents, the vehicle registration, and the smart lock log. Malcolm had been appointed the next director of the Westhaven Public Safety Department 11 days earlier. The patrol division had not yet seen his face. He had intended to keep it that way until the formal introduction. Now he opened a private audit file. Under source of initial claim, he typed 1 word: unverified. Elaine Whitaker stopped calling the police for every complaint. She no longer needed to. The Stonebridge portal gave her quieter tools. A photograph of Malcolm's driveway became a vehicle concern. A delivery van became an unregistered contractor. A visitor entering through the front door became an access irregularity. Each report carried Elaine's title beneath it and entered the weekly safety summary before anyone checked whether anything had happened. Adrian Cole approved those summaries from his office across town. He handled the association's finances and software account. Elaine prepared the reports. Adrian clicked to confirm. He had seen the Reed address appear more often than any other. He had also seen every police response end without a citation. He told himself the difference was not his responsibility. At home, Lena was learning the pattern faster than the adults were willing to name it. She no longer played music near the open window, she asked, before leaving her bicycle beside the garage. When Malcolm suggested inviting 2 classmates over for dinner, she wanted to know whether their parents had been added to the visitor list. "They're coming to eat," he said. "Will the police know that?" The question landed between them. Malcolm did not promise that no patrol car would appear. He had stopped giving her assurances that depended on other people behaving correctly. Instead, he helped her send the invitations. The girls arrived on Saturday afternoon. Malcolm grilled hamburgers while Lena drew a neighborhood map across the walkway in blue and yellow chalk. 3 houses, the school, a row of trees. A long road connecting every place she thought a child should be allowed to reach without explanation. The laughter lasted 23 minutes. Elaine submitted a noise concern through the portal. A patrol car did not stop, but it slowed near the curb. One parent arrived early. The other followed soon after. Both were polite. Neither looked at Malcolm for long. By Monday, Lena's name had disappeared from a classmate's weekend invitation list. She folded an old birthday card and placed it in her desk drawer. Tessa found her there that evening. She did not tell Lena to ignore it. She did not say the other children would come around. She sat on the floor and helped her assemble the bookshelves the contractor had left unfinished. When the last shelf locked into place, Tessa handed Lena the smart lock panel and let her add her own access code. The house recognized her immediately. The neighborhood still had not. 2 days later, Lena carried the chalk outside again. She redrew the road from her house toward the sidewalk, extending it along the edge of the property line. Elaine crossed the lawn holding a garden hose. Common areas must maintain a uniform appearance. "This is our walkway," Lena said. Elaine turned the nozzle. Water cut through the chalk road, washing the blue line into the grass. Lena reached for the box before the water reached it. Elaine caught her wrist. Malcolm saw the movement through the kitchen window. He was outside before Elaine heard the door close. "Let go." He did not raise his voice. Elaine released Lena, then stepped back as though she had been the one approached. She was damaging association property. Malcolm guided Lena inside. He photographed the red mark around her wrist. He downloaded the doorbell footage. He exported the smart lock activity and the property boundary map from the closing file. Lena sat on the edge of her bed with the damp chalk box against her knees. "Why does she keep writing things about us?" Malcolm looked at the broken blue pieces inside the box. "Because people keep letting her version enter first." Across town, Officer Noah Bell opened Elaine's complaint. The portal described vandalism of shared property. The property map showed private ownership. The video showed Elaine crossing the boundary and taking hold of Lena. Noah opened the prior incidents. Same caller, same address, no violation. The same language repeated from one report to the next. Sergeant Russell Vance called before Noah finished reading. "Close it as a neighbor dispute." Noah looked at the blank classification field. For weeks he had entered the outcome and moved on. Each report had been technically accurate. None had described the pattern. He selected a different category. Repeated unfounded reporting. He added physical contact with a minor. Then he requested review by a supervisor outside the district and marked the video for evidence preservation. For the first time, the truth appeared at the top of the record. That evening, Elaine assembled a formal complaint package for the city. She attached every safety flag she had created and described the growing number of police responses as proof that Malcolm's household presented an unresolved risk. Adrian approved the submission without opening the attachments. The package was sent to the incoming director of the Westhaven Public Safety Department. Malcolm received it at his transition office before midnight. He read Elaine's description once. Then he opened the metadata. Every edit remained visible. Every label change carried a timestamp. Every approval carried Adrian's account. Malcolm saved the entire package to the audit file. The next morning, Deputy Prosecutor Camille Shaw received Noah's report through the Child Protection Channel. She ordered preservation of the call history, portal records, dispatch notes, and video evidence before anyone could alter them. Malcolm did not know that yet. Elaine did not know it either. She only knew that nothing had happened quickly enough to satisfy her. The following morning, Malcolm loaded sealed transition files into his vehicle, while Lena waited in the back seat for school. Elaine photographed the boxes from her driveway. She called them stolen property. The dispatch screen showed the Reed address and its growing history. Beneath it, a new amber warning flashed. Prior reports, unfounded. Supervisor review required. Sergeant Vance read the warning. Then he turned it off before pulling onto Stonebridge Lane. Sergeant Russell Vance turned his patrol car across Malcolm Reed's driveway and blocked the vehicle before Malcolm could close the trunk. Lena was already buckled into the back seat. Vance stepped out with his body camera running and one hand near his holster. "Move away from the vehicle." Malcolm obeyed. "My daughter is inside. Keep your hands visible." The warning on Vance's dispatch screen had been clear. Prior reports unfounded. Supervisor review required. He had turned it off before leaving the car. Now he pointed toward the sealed boxes in Malcolm's trunk. "We have a report of stolen property. They are city transition files. This address has a documented history." Malcolm looked toward the patrol car. "Did you read the outcomes?" Vance did not answer. He ordered Malcolm to open every box. When Malcolm explained that the documents contained protected personnel records and cybersecurity assessments, Vance struck the nearest box with his boot. The lid shifted. A dark binder slid onto the driveway. Westhaven Public Safety, Executive Transition Audit. Vance read the title. "That could belong to the department." "It does." "Then explain why you have it." Lena called from inside the vehicle. Vance's hand settled against his holster. The moment had moved beyond observation. Malcolm kept his voice level. "Contact dispatch. Verify my name and authorization. You don't give instructions here. Then verify the documents before touching them again." Vance reached for his radio. Dispatch answered after several seconds. Malcolm Reed, incoming Director of Westhaven Public Safety, authorized custodian of all executive transition records. Vance's hand left the holster. Malcolm moved slowly toward his jacket. "I am retrieving identification." Vance did not stop him. Malcolm opened his wallet and displayed the transition badge. Vance's shoulders straightened. His voice softened immediately. He began an apology that had not existed when Malcolm was only a black father standing beside his own car. Malcolm closed the wallet. "Step away from the vehicle. Leave your camera running." He opened the rear door and crouched beside Lena. She was crying without sound. Malcolm checked her hands and waited until her breathing slowed before standing again. Across the street, Elaine Whitaker held her phone against her chest. The complaint portal still showed an officer assigned. Then the status changed. Evidence hold. She pressed delete. Deletion unavailable during audit preservation. A supervisor from another district arrived and took control. Vance was separated from his equipment, his patrol terminal, body camera, dash recording, and the disabled warning were preserved. Malcolm did not question him. He did not order Elaine's arrest. He transferred the entire matter to Deputy Prosecutor Camille Shaw. By afternoon, the driveway was no longer being described as a misunderstanding between neighbors. It was an evidence scene. The audit showed that Vance had opened the supervisor warning, read it, disabled it, and proceeded without reviewing the prior outcomes. His camera recorded him looking directly at the transition binder before refusing to verify Malcolm's authority. Vance was suspended that day. The internal investigation later found the same pattern in earlier incidents. He had repeatedly treated reports from influential white residents as reliable while requiring additional proof from the people they accused. He was terminated. His conduct record was referred to the State Certification Board, and selected cases under his supervision were reopened for review. Noah Bell's meeting was quieter. He admitted recognizing the pattern weeks earlier, but closing each report separately. Malcolm placed the earlier records beside Noah's final report. The last one had preserved the video, named the repeated complainant, and forced outside review. It mattered. So did every earlier time he had known enough to act and had not. Noah received a written disciplinary finding, mandatory retraining, and remained with the department under supervision. Camille's investigation reached beyond Stonebridge Lane. The portal logs showed that Elaine had edited descriptions after events were closed. Most of her safety flags targeted residents, workers, and visitors of color. Adrian Cole had approved the summaries without opening their evidence. At an emergency association meeting, every complaint Elaine had assembled against the Reed family was projected beside its verified outcome. Unauthorized occupancy. Ownership confirmed. Suspicious vehicle. Registered to homeowner. Unverified visitor. Authorized family access. Vandalism. Private property. For the first time, Elaine could not separate the accusations from the facts that disproved them. The board removed her as president by unanimous vote, revoked her access to all resident data, barred her from holding another association position, and ordered an independent audit of every violation issued during her tenure. A written correction was sent to every Stonebridge household. It stated that the Reed family had remained in good standing from the day they purchased the property and that every safety allegation against them had been found unsupported. The same parents who had collected their children early now received the truth through the system that had spread the suspicion. Elaine was later convicted of repeated false reporting and unlawful physical contact with a minor. She received probation, a substantial fine, mandatory community service, a no-contact order, and responsibility for part of the association's audit costs. Adrian resigned from the data committee. Westhaven replaced the process that had allowed the pattern to grow. Under the repeated caller integrity review, 2 unsupported reports from the same person against the same address triggered mandatory supervisory review. Dispatch screens displayed outcomes beside response counts. Officers could no longer use prior calls to justify escalation without reading how those calls ended. The Reed address was not erased. It was corrected. Reports unfounded. Pattern linked to sanctioned complainant. No adverse inference permitted. Months later, Lena carried a fresh box of chalk to the family that moved into Elaine's former house. She and the youngest child drew a road between the 2 driveways. This time, the road crossed the old property line without anyone washing it away. A patrol car passed without slowing. Inside it, the screen displayed what the old system had buried. The family at that address had done nothing wrong. This story is fictional.